My name is Pierre Matovani with the World Bank, and I would like to again welcome and thank the participants in the remote locations for responding to the invitation and participating today as interactively as you can, thanks to the great links provided by GDLN. Okay, Cairo, are you ready? I hope the sound is going to be good. Please speak slowly and succinctly.
One of the things that has been mentioned is that the government is actually taking the issue quite seriously. But the problem with desalination comes down to basically a lack of money. And if you look at Egypt, Egypt is actually using a very old perennial irrigation system. So what happens is that a lot of the water is dirty, and many people cannot have access to clean water because of that. And what you have is flatworms from the Nile actually getting into these canals, and this causes disease. So, I mean, you know, when it comes, if expense is probably the biggest impediment. I mean, what kind of, how do you see a viable solution, especially for the Middle East and Africa, which is a water-scarce region, in solving that kind of problem?
Thank you. Maybe go on to Kampala.
I would like to talk about the wastewater management. Wastewater management would provide the trick for economic development, but our leaders have failed to come up with the policy framework to put it all high on the agenda so that people can get to know the activities or how to manage the water right from the top to the bottom. Two, you talked about the payment for the treated water, but I would suggest that the price should not be very high, given the fact that in Uganda, poverty is actually a very big problem. Thank you.
Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, could you please step in and let us know what you think?
I had a question to the World Bank on the concern of water recycling and as well as water management in Tanzania. As you know, we seem not to be careful on water management. We are not even dealing with recycling here in Tanzania at all, I can say. So I would like to know the advice where we are still clearing forests and bushes like no one's business, where we know there is a biggest problem with the climate change. But at the same time, the next question would be like on the pollution of Lake Victoria. As you know, we have the so-called foreign investors conducting mining business here in Tanzania, where they are said to use various poisonous chemicals like cyanide and others in their mining activities. And after all those activities, those poisons are directed to Lake Victoria. At the same time, Lake Victoria is the source of life for some East Africans as well as West Africans, like Egypt. They lie very much on Lake Victoria. So in Egypt, they might be recycling water which is maybe receiving water which maybe is already polluted. So they need to recycle water they receive from Nile River, according on my view, because of what I said on environmental on water poisoning. So I would like more clarification there on how is that phenomenon viewed, maybe by the World Bank or other water.
Good morning for all. I am Hazim Kittani from the Palestinian Water Authority. I would like to also add a little bit more about what my colleague said about reuse and other non-conventional water resources. Since the Palestinian Authority started planning about 10 years ago, we started putting the water reuse and water desalination as one of our strategic objectives, because we had in mind that scarcity of water is prevailing in this area. Even though we are a special case here, we are suffering also from not getting our water right until this time. and we hope we can get it soon, because it is one of our political challenges that is facing our decision makers in stopping our decision makers from going towards desalination options for the future. Concerning reuse, it is one of our strategies of irrigating agriculture in the future by treated effluent within the coming 20 years. And we hope we can overcome the biggest challenge, which is the social challenge. Religious issue is a big concern to our people here. We need to have big water campaigns to convince people to take it.
First of all, we have been talking about costs. Yes, this has become sometimes a nightmare. Presently, with many different institutions around the world, we're tapping the ways that we could support, partially or totally, the costs of infrastructure for third parties. This is something that we still have to work a lot, but I think we have ample room, not only for thought, but for having concrete results. And there's many instruments today, not on top of the table, but on the field itself, that are working in that direction. Second, the management costs. It has also been a nightmare for many, many countries in the developing world. And we also have a set of tools already prepared for that, but we still need a lot more of engineering, of financial engineering, to have much more supply of financial tools to cope with the management costs for all those countries, all those poverty areas in the world where trying to meet or to cope with the management costs is still too difficult. Now, we're talking about reuse and desalination. One very important, strong statement: water reuse is here to stay. It is not something that is coming and going. It is going to be here for good. And that is also the case of desalination. It is not something that is a particular scientific thing that we want to take a look in an exposition. It is something that is here also to stay. And we have to make a cultural change in that respect. But now, talking about culture, we need, I am positively sure, we need to modify, re-engineer our water culture all around the world. Not only as a saying, but with real profound meaning, because culture needs to be reassessed. We need to consider that water to be recycled is as good water as the water that we find in nature. It is water at the end. This is what we're looking for. Let us not see the water that is being rejected by a community as something that is filthy and useless, because that is not the way, the pattern to go. We need to change our vision altogether, and that calls for a different cultural pattern all the way. And this was addressed one way or the other today in interventions that we listened to very carefully from friends all around the world.